Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. What's up, everybody? First time doing that little intro, so you'll have to let me know what you think about it. We haven't ever played it on this before. We've put it on some of our other videos as the intro, kind of gives us a little idea of what we're about, and what we do and what the page is about and who all the characters that you may see on here from time to time if you've checked out our other videos. But we're back tonight talking Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard. We're going to talk about a lot of the witnesses, all the witnesses that testified today, and more that we expect to testify this week, or actually I should say continue. I think the divorce lawyer is supposed to go for another couple hours tomorrow potentially, which is really interesting. And I posted on Twitter because it's always really interesting to see a lawyer get deposed, because it's kind of like being on the other side, and what you're doing and talking to people about, people are doing that to you now. And so they know all the tricks. They're not going to get tripped up by the questions. If they don't want to be involved, they're going to be very vague. And, you can just see the skill as she answers the question. So we're going to get into all that and more today. We're going to talk about who's winning. We're going to talk about, how we got here. But everybody, thank you for joining in. Wow, almost 1,000 people in here already. Seems to grow every night that we do this, which is really fun because a lot of people get in the chat. A lot of people like to have fun with the questions, which we will get to all of that at the end. I answer most of the questions at the end. I think I've figured out how to star super chats and stuff tonight. And I also, since a lot of it we talked about last night, people said, oh, you need merch. We do have some merch. We posted our merch link. I'm wearing the Lawyer You Know shirt. I know you can't really see it, but let me see. Star comment. All right, we're already learning new things. So yeah, here's the Lawyer You Know shirt from our merch site. This is a large. I'm not a very large man, and it's a little snug. So if you do end up getting that, maybe size up. So anyways, really fun. This whole experience has been really fun. Yes, we hit 40K. That was a ton of fun for all of you guys that were here for that. We're trying to hit 50K by the end of the weekend. So we've got like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days left. We've got a video posting tomorrow. And I'm going to go on some other live streams tomorrow. Friday, I'm not going to do the nightly live tomorrow because I've got my member guests in my golf country club. And I've also got the NFL draft, which is one of my favorite events of the year. Friday, I will be doing another live so we can recap the whole week and talk about what happened Thursday. I'll have a chance to kind of catch up. So that's going to be really fun for us to all talk Friday. There's no court Friday, so I don't know what you all will be doing as far as watching streams here and there. Suzanne, I just happened to see your question. I'm in Florida. So Friday's going to be really fun. It's going to be kind of a full recap, and I'll answer a ton of questions. But for today's video, I am going to go through all of the witnesses we heard from today, some of the arguments, some of the lawyering, some of what the judge did, and then at the end, the most fun part for me, we'll get to your questions. And throughout the video, as I always do, I'm going to ask for your input in the live chat. If you're watching it later, in the comments, please take a second, give me the answer. I try to respond to a lot of them. I read all of them, even if I don't respond to them. And I think you guys understand that I don't respond to some when it just answers my question because it's just a data point that I'm listening, seeing how people feel about these spots. I got a rogue hair here. But, I love to read those comments. I love to see your insight as all people who could be potential jurors in whatever jurisdiction that they're in. So please answer the questions that I have if you want to take a second and do it. And if you're going to answer the questions and like the video, you might as well subscribe. Help me get to that 50K. We have shrunk the percentage a little, but still over 60% of the people watching are not subscribed. Watching these lives, they show up, they hang out, ask questions. Take a second and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, let's get into the testimony today. So the first couple witnesses were officers. And as we've kind of discussed in the past, when you have these video depositions, the way the process works, and in some of the other lives, a lot of people ask this question. So I'm sure a lot of you have this question as well. the way a video depo works is there's two ways. You can take a discovery depo that's videotaped, and you can take a deposition for trial. And if you do a deposition for trial, it looks and feels and sounds like a trial deposition. The party who's friendly to the witness goes first in direct examination, not using leading questions. The adverse party goes second with cross-examination and leading questions. And then the friendly party goes again at the end for redirect, right? Just like you would have in a trial. But most of these depositions seem to be discovery depositions that they filmed and are now using at trial. And it's a big difference because there are different rules and there's different strategy in a discovery deposition. That's why you hear a lot of these questions that some of them don't make sense. They seem like they're kind of fishing. It seems like they may be using hearsay here and there or allowing that in because it's different rules. You can ask about hearsay in a discovery deposition. And while that's not going to come in at trial, that's how lawyers form their questions. And if you hear a lawyer object to hearsay before the other lawyer finishes their question or before we hear the answer, it's because they've probably heard it from a deposition and they know that that answer is based on hearsay. So a lot of times you'll hear it and it sounds like they're objecting early and the judge will say, well, let him ask the question, but we already know based on the deposition that hearsay is going to come. And to me, sometimes it can be confusing when you're hearing Elaine, Amber Heard's lawyer, go first on a lot of these depots, and then you hear Johnny Depp's lawyer go second when they're friendly witnesses to Johnny Depp. But that's why. So I just wanted to explain that part of the process. And a lot of that is what we had here. Elaine's a little bit less aggressive for her. Again, all relative. As she's asking these questions, because again, she's not crossing them. She's not asking these closed-ended questions, but it's more of a discovery deposition and more of a relaxed feel. And I think it's clear by now from all the officers involved in this situation where Amber and then I guess a second caller called and reported domestic violence, it is clear from all of the officers that there was nothing that indicated a crime, nothing they observed, nothing anybody said to them, no injuries, and no even accusations of domestic violence. Okay? I think that's been confirmed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. There was no evidence a crime was committed. Elaine got a couple points, and they could have been lost if you weren't listening critically, which is going to bring me to my first question for you guys. You could have lost kind of the important points that she made if you weren't listening critically, but she did get all of the officers or a lot of the officers today to agree that they can't prove one way or the other if Johnny hit Amber. And that's important because, again, Amber doesn't have the burden of proof on the main claim. She does on her counterclaim. But on the main claim, she doesn't have the burden of proof. So if Johnny can't prove that she's lying, then maybe they win the jury. And again, how does he do that? Well, these officers are not definitively saying Johnny didn't abuse Amber. They are saying that they don't know what happened, but didn't look like any injuries, and it didn't look like any injuries, and nobody said that they had been abused when they showed up. So again, feels like really good evidence for Johnny. Elaine got a couple points out there for Amber, but nothing crazy. I thought that the male, kind of generically white officer, based on some jokes from yesterday, said that he was getting annoyed with Elaine, basically, with the way that she was questioning him and asking the same questions over again. And she kept saying, well, why didn't you talk to Amber? He's like, for the millionth time, lady. The female officer spoke to the females there. I was the male officer. I spoke to the male officers there. And he just got so annoyed, as everybody probably did watching this video depo. However, you could tell he got annoyed when at one point he said, listen, ma'am, it's not illegal to argue with your spouse. I argue with my wife all the time. That to me is a huge knock against Amber Heard, a huge knock against Elaine, a huge point for Johnny Depp, because Johnny Depp's going to say if I was Johnny Depp's lawyer, I would quote that unbiased, independent officer, not paid by either side. Those are the witnesses you really have to highlight. Not paid by either side. I would quote him and say, just as the officer said, not illegal to argue with your wife, which that's all we have recordings of Johnny doing, is arguing with your wife. The officer saw nothing illegal happen because nothing illegal happened in these situations. That's what I would say, and that's what I would quote in closing if I was Johnny Depp's lawyer. That's something I would absolutely quote. Lastly, what I thought was kind of a horrible move for Elaine, which some of you are getting accustomed to here, is she basically makes some kind of threatening question to the officer saying, one of her points is she's trying to make it seem like they did a shoddy or negligent investigation because they didn't do everything twice. They didn't have every officer talk to everybody. They didn't clean up or take pictures of the entire scene, even though they came back twice. So, I don't really know how she's really going to say that they are totally negligent here. But that's one of her points, right? She's trying to say they were negligent. She was trying to say they didn't do a good job. But the question that I thought crossed the line was, officers can get disciplined for negligent investigations. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I know that. And so we've followed on this channel, and a lot of you have followed a lot of criminal trials where they don't even ask that kind of a question in a criminal trial where their client's life and liberty is on the line. Because, of course, we know officers can get in trouble for that. That's a given. But to try to threaten them and push them to agree with you that they were negligent in this investigation, or does she think that's going to get this officer on her side? At that point, the officer shut down. The officer, in my opinion, gave her nothing from there on out. If he wasn't on Johnny's side before that question, I can guarantee you he felt like he was on Johnny's side after it. He had that little outburst like it's not illegal to argue with your wife. But she really, in my opinion, pushed too far. And I'm a lawyer who a lot of times has talked about negligent investigations and how I feel like officers did not do enough. And again, I'm arguing that creates reasonable doubt. I had a wrongful death case where my client was hit in a parking lot and the officer felt bad for the driver of the car that killed my 10-year-old client. So they didn't ticket that driver. And I'm saying, I get it. You feel bad for her. She was bawling. It was an accident. She doesn't need to go to jail, but you don't ticket her or find her civilly at fault. And we went through the officer's investigation. It was horrible. They screwed up every aspect of the investigation. And I dug in on it and we went in on it, but that was nice. I didn't say you should lose your job or be disciplined. I wanted her to admit that she didn't do a thorough enough investigation. She could have done better. And if she would have done better, she would have come to the conclusion that this person was at fault. That's how you can do it. You can do it in a nice way while still pinning them down, still getting what you want out of them, still getting your points across, and still zealously representing your client. But I don't think Elaine did that here. I think she went a little too far. So that leads me, we've got 2,000 people in here, to my first question to the crew here. And let me know in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching later. What do you all think about video depositions? And I'm going to put it in this way because I like to give one word answers here. It makes it easy to follow. Put effective or ineffective. And when I say effective, I don't think anybody thinks they're more effective than a live witness. But if you think they're as effective or close to as effective as a live witness, put effective in the chat. If you think they're ineffective, put ineffective in the chat. Or like people are already saying, I hate it, hate them, suck. I get what that means. Okay? Because this is a decision lawyers have to make all the time. And I've been on other streams and I've listened to you guys talk about them. And it seems like everybody hates them. Now, we know that as trial lawyers, and we try our best to try to not do many as video depositions, and especially not like it went today, where it was one after the other, after the other, after the other. Because that, I really think, can have people glaze over. And they can miss points that I'm pointing out here if they're not listening critically. And I think it's hard if you're a jury there for 6 weeks, every day showing up for the same thing, listening to testimony, trying to do your best. But I think it can be really hard. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll split it up and maybe one video a day max. And we try to do it for the lesser exciting experts, like a radiologist to explain what a disc herniation is or something like that. So let's see what you all say here. All right, so most of it's bad, hate them, ineffective, but we do have some effective. Ineffective for a jury, probably suited for a judge panel, so a bench trial. I get that, Bell. Not as effective. Annoying, but effective. Okay, Vicky. Hate it, but effective. Okay. They're hard to watch. You lose your interest. Boring AF, but effective. Effective, 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 ineffective. Effective, they get the job done. For sure, it's better than not calling the witness at all, right? I think we can all agree with that. It's definitely better than not calling the witness. But when compared to a live witness, it seems like the consensus is ineffective. Yes, if you can switch it up. The day felt too long today. Disliked, ineffective, suck, ineffective, ineffective. All right, so a pretty good mix, but I think the majority is saying ineffective, especially a whole day of it. Somebody asked, I think, I kind of watching paint dry, I kind of skipped through. I think somebody said, why do they do this? There's a couple reasons. Number one, scheduling conflicts if you can't get people to show up. Number two, some experts are way more expensive to have them come show up in trial. They can be $15,000 to come show up at trial and only $5,000 to do by video. So you kind of take that risk and make that decision. Number three, a witness is going to be very pissed off if you subpoena them and drag them into court. If you remember the Edgecombe trial, if any of you guys saw that, the state attorney had to arrest somebody, put them in an orange jumpsuit to come testify to them. Never a good look, and you don't want to risk that in a civil case, having a witness pissed off because you subpoenaed them and pulled them out of their job, especially like a lawyer, like the divorce lawyer, who knows you could have done it by video. So that's the reason for them. And then sometimes it's nice to have a video deposition or two because you can fill some dead space if we have some conflicts in schedules for when the witnesses show up. So that's kind of the reason for doing video depos. But it seems like consensus in here, which I trust this consensus, that it's a little ineffective, but you understand why you have to do it so they can be effective, and they're definitely more effective than not calling the witness at all. All right. I see a lot of requests for Alejandra, the doorman, who clearly liked Johnny Depp and didn't have much of a relationship with Amber Heard, as he put it, not as much as some of the other people that lived there. I felt like he didn't really want to give much. He didn't want to talk much. He was pretty funny. He started driving at the end of his depo, and the judge is like, first I've seen that. I wish I could say that was the first time I've seen that, but I've seen people do that before. We've had to stop depos. We had to stop hearings because some people were driving in the middle of them, which was pretty crazy. He basically said Johnny was a good guy. I feel like it was a win for Johnny. Definitely positives for Johnny, negatives for Amber. And he made me feel like, I remember thinking while I was listening to his depo, I really hope that Amber, for her sake, okay, not for anything else in that, but like just her legal strategy and for her team, her legal team's sake, I hope that she has a line of people. She has like 80 people on the witness list. I hope she has a line of people to come and say how great she is and how much better she is than Johnny Depp and how he's horrible and she's great. Because if not, it may not stack up to what Johnny Depp has put before this jury. Because there are a lot of people willing to come up and say how great he is and how terrible she is. And I see a lot of people talking about the makeup questions. I mean, they're just never gonna let that die. I just think that is I just think that is a bad line of questioning that's not probative at all, especially to these people. Now, if you want to say to law enforcement or something like that, who maybe is trained in looking at this stuff, but to me, it is just out of control how much they're digging in on the makeup and things like that. But Alejandra as a whole, I think was another just kind of good character witness. And then a consistent witness to what everybody else was saying. And that's important for Johnny's Depp's team to have consistency. 2,500 in the chat and on the live, which is crazy. Maybe we can get back up to record numbers. I think it was 3,400 or 3,500 yesterday. That would be cool. And if 2,500 people would hit the like button, we'd be able to tell, and that would be awesome. And could also jump over there and subscribe if you haven't already. So a witness I thought was pretty interesting was the talent agent. What'd you guys think of the talent agent? Did he look like a talent agent or what from Hollywood? I thought Elaine lost just about everybody when she was pressing on why litigation is bad for a celebrity. It's like, seriously? I have to explain that to you. It was almost like she was trying to play dumb. And so I didn't like that line of questioning. She was basically, again, Amber's team, one of their strategies is Johnny's career suffered because he decided to file this lawsuit. And so she was trying to say that because of that litigation, it's really Johnny's fault, not Amber's fault. We'll get to that more later. He obviously played a big part in damages and what roles he lost and how his reputation was affected. And I actually felt like he was a pretty unbiased witness because he didn't go hard in favor of Johnny Depp. He was friends with both of them. He actually met Amber first, but he was really important for that element of damages. And he did not give Johnny as many damages as I thought he could have. He said he doesn't think his reputation suffered much, and he only thought he lost one role as a result of these claims by Amber. Now, that role is Pirates 6, and we know that's a tens of millions of dollars role. And he is very clear that he talked to Jerry Bruckheimer and Disney, and the reason he lost that role was because of Amber's accusations. We got into some hearsay there that they wouldn't let Johnny, I don't understand this, okay? They wouldn't let Johnny get into that hearsay, but they knew it was going to come out here, right? They didn't object to it here for whatever reason. So Disney and all of them said that this is the reason Johnny Depp, we can't let him in here. And I felt like that's a huge win. That's a lock for damages. That's a lock for connection. It just happened days after the op-ed came out and he lost the role. So in my opinion, that was the big connection for damages. And if you can get damages like that locked in, that's one of the elements you can check off the box as a jury. Okay, he said Fantastic Beasts too. People are saying, I heard him talking about that a little bit, but he was more focused on Pirates, I felt like. So Fantastic Beasts, I see people talking about too. Okay, so but he connected. The important thing is whatever those damages are, right? Because in my opinion, I've kind of been of the opinion the entire. Oh, he said Fantastic Beasts after the UK trial. So you guys are correcting me, which is perfect. So what I thought was great about it, though, is because I've been of the mindset of this entire trial, Johnny Depp does not necessarily think he's going to get $50 million or that's what he's here for. He wants to win. And to win, you have to check all the elements. And in order to check all the elements, you have to have damages. And he's locked in damages with this witness. So that's my big check mark for this witness, right? Some people liked him, some people didn't. I get it. But that was really, really important. The other interesting thing that came out during his testimony is he introduced them both to a therapist because he knew they had problems in their relationship. And the problems in their relationship, he knew they needed a mediator type, introduced them to a counselor. Then, after the TRO, Amber said she wanted Johnny to come meet with her. They planned this meeting through this talent agent from CAA, and they decided to come meet. They met outside, then they continued it in a hotel room, and they got in an argument. But let me take a pause here real quick and tell you about a TRO. So a TRO, temporary restraining order, which I think the family law lawyer said in that jurisdiction lasts 21 days or until the hearing actually happens where you can go fight it and then get rid of it. So we're on, somebody's asking what witness we're on. We're on, I can't remember his name, the talent agent, the guy that had the hat on for part of it, the long hair from CAA. So Amber said, oh, I would never press charges or anything like that for Johnny violating the TRO. I just really want to meet with him. I can't tell you how many cases I've been involved with where the victim of a TRO does that and then turns their back and calls the cops. It doesn't sound like it happened here, obviously. But what a TRO is and how that works is it's not a criminal, it's not a crime. Johnny doesn't get arrested for anything because she has a restraining order. But what happens if you break that restraining order, and what makes it so important, is now you can be arrested for a crime for just coming into the presence or whatever the restriction is of that TRO. If you break that restriction, now you are going to get arrested. Now there's going to be a crime of violating that restraining order. And now you're going to have a criminal record, and now you're going to have a charge to fight. That's what makes it so important. And that's why you don't want a temporary. They almost make it sound like no big deal. Temporary restraining order, big deal. It goes away in 21 days if you just show up and fight it. So from my opinion, that's a scary sight, right? And that's, in my opinion, a gaslighter and somebody who likes to set up their spouse. You fight, you get the TRO, and then you tell them you want to meet. That's classic to me, just with my experience. Now, everybody may not agree with that. The jurors may not know that or have that experience or agree with it. But to me, that's a big no-no. And if I'm Johnny Depp's lawyers, I'm saying, I don't really care how bad she wants to meet with you. It ain't happening unless she gets rid of that TRO, which she can do on her own. But it seemed very clear throughout the timeline that this was all a ploy as part of a divorce agreement, which to me is very common in family law cases and divorce cases, where they'll use temporary restraining orders. Because as you heard, the family law or the divorce lawyers say, we kept pushing that out and pushing that out. And then we didn't end up having to deal with the TRO because we came to a settlement. It's like, yeah, exactly. Because we all know why they try to use that stuff for leverage, which is why I would never advise a client to violate that. We're at 3,400 people in the chat. Maybe we can hit 4,000 tonight. That'd be cool. We've never had 4,000 in a chat at once, which would be awesome if we could get there. Tell your friends. Hide your kids. And if you're one of the new 3,400 people who are here who hasn't subscribed yet, subscribe and throw a 1 in the chat if you're a new subscriber from today's live. So that's just a little side note on TROs and how all that works. But Johnny, again, which I think it's like you can tell how Johnny has dealt with this. He doesn't. He puts himself at risk for criminal charges. He goes and meets with her, has this discussion with her, tries to iron it out. They continue the discussion in the hotel room until the next morning. Again, weird life. It's different from my life, but whatever. And the agent's there and all these people are there, whatever. They try to hammer it out. They get into an argument, whatever. Eventually they settle on it. But I just thought that was very telling how people act in those situations, how Amber acted and how Johnny acted. But at the end, very interesting, we had our first, at least that I can remember, actually they may have said it when Johnny was on the stand, but our first real in-depth Elon Musk discussion. So this guy knew she was dating Elon Musk, and he was asked, was she dating Elon Musk when Amber filed the temporary restraining order? And he said, I don't know if they were dating, but I know that they were seeing each other or hanging out with each other, which is what Johnny accused her of and she denied. And that's probably what had to do with the argument in the hotel. But here's the bad Elon testimony, and it's bad for Elon, not that he could care. Things are going okay for Elon, in case you haven't noticed. She never loved him. Why does she care that they broke up? She was just filling space with Elon Musk. And if she doesn't want to be in the spotlight and deal with celebrities, maybe she should stop dating celebrities. Ouch. That's a hit to the ego, no matter who you are. Now, it did seem a little like, and people in the chat on the live were like, does it seem like this guy wanted to date her and was like, maybe you shouldn't date celebrities. Maybe you should date somebody more normal. And I saw some people put in this chat, maybe he was trying to get with Amber too. And it did kind of sound like that. But, you know, I don't want to hate on the guy. 3,700, we're ticking up there. We're getting close to 4,000. So I thought he did a fine job for Johnny again, but he seemed like an unbiased witness. It seemed like he wasn't friends with either of them anymore. Is that the vibes you guys were kind of getting? That he didn't really want to be with either of them anymore. Or he wasn't really friends with either of them anymore. I guess people are saying he was an ex of Lady Gaga. But yeah, to me, I felt like that was another win for Johnny. Just line him up and knock him down for Johnny today, in my opinion. All right, so let's get to the big-time divorce lawyer. I mean, she seems like a pro. Vague answers, not digging into anything. I may have had that conversation, but I don't recall. She said multiple times. Yes, I know I spoke to her, but I don't recall the content of the conversation, which is always very important because you don't want to tie yourself down. You don't want to get yourself into trouble. That's really important. Yeah, I know he doesn't represent them anymore, but I think he's not even friends with them anymore. The talent agent. 3,800, getting closer. So yeah, to me, that's wild. I mean, the family law lawyer came in and just smashed it, in my opinion. And she's kind of funny. Like, to me, I like that kind of wit. She's a little aloof. Like, she's like, whatever. You're not going to get anything on me, Elaine. I liked how a couple of these witnesses called her Elaine, which was funny. She explained how Callie's a no-fault state, which means like it's not he cheated on me, therefore he loses. It's kind of like the generic thing is we split the property that was accumulated during the marriage or the profits that were accumulated during the marriage. That's default unless some other things happen, is basically what she said. And then she talked a little bit about the TRO. It's a 21-day period. For those of you who don't understand, when you get a TRO, you set a hearing to determine whether or not it's going to be a permanent injunction or not, a permanent restraining order or not. If it's not, the judge can throw it out. If it's permanent, the judge picks for how long it's going to be in place for. So it can be a year, 5 years, permanent forever until, you know, new evidence comes to light, or it can just go away at that point. And actually, I mean, I'll say the majority of cases I'm involved in, because they get a lawyer involved, it's more common for temporary restraining orders to go away because judges are more likely to grant temporary restraining orders and the bar is kind of low to grant that temporary restraining order, which I think Johnny Depp's lawyers were trying to say in opening, but I don't know if that came across. You guys let me know. And it'll bring me to my next question for the crew. But when you talk about temporary restraining orders, the judge is more likely to grant that and bring the other party in to have a hearing to see if it needs to be permanent, because the worst case scenario for a judge, and a judge's biggest fear, is they deny the temporary restraining order and the other partner comes and seriously injures or does something horrible to the victim that wanted a temporary restraining order. The judge doesn't know these people. It's new to them. It's a new case to them. They don't necessarily know who to believe, especially if you have a lawyer on your side. They're more likely to believe you. So to me, the judges usually err on the side of granting temporary restraining orders. Then they take it very seriously. We're 20 away from 4,000. Then they take it very, very seriously when they come in and have the hearing with their lawyers to see whether or not a permanent restraining order can come in, because a permanent restraining order is a big deal. And judges realize that the restraining order is a big deal because, like I said, it can turn into a crime. So we're going to hear a lot more from this divorce lawyer, and I'm looking forward to it because I think she could be a star witness. She's going to seem unbiased, even though she obviously represented Johnny against Amber. I'm interested to hear what they're going to get into because a lot of their conversations will be privileged, but Johnny can waive that privilege for his benefit. So we'll see if he does that, and we'll see if he waives that hearing. All right, so we need about 50 more people in the chat at one time for us to get over 4,000. I think we're going to do it because now we're getting to the fun time. Oh, I didn't ask my question, but we're about to get to the fun time where I answer the questions. So get your questions in. But we just hit 4,011 people watching. This is cool. Like, this is crazy. It seems like it just kind of goes up every day. I don't really know what to expect. Like, will we hit 50,000 by the weekend? What do you guys think? I hope we hit 50,000 by the weekend. If you haven't subscribed, there are obviously new people in here that weren't in here yesterday because there are 4,024 people here right now. We didn't get over, I think, 3,500 yesterday. So I appreciate you guys so much for coming in, for telling your friends about it. Maybe YouTube's pushing it with the algo a little bit, but come on in, subscribe, join the party. Because my next question for all the subscribers and people watching is, do you think that's how it should be? Do you think judges should err on the side of granting temporary restraining orders when they bring something to the table like Amber Heard, where they say that their spouse is abusing them and the judge doesn't necessarily know? I see people saying do a poll, but if I do a poll, then a lot of people watch. Like last time, I think, we had like 5,000, or I don't remember how many people watched, but then like 40,000 people watched later in the night. So I understand the poll thing, and I will do some polls. I actually don't even know how to as I'm sitting here, but I will do some polls in future lives. But I like to do the comment thing because then the people that come on and watch later can still comment. So what do you think? Do you think that they should err on the side of granting it? And you can put granting or denying. Should they err on the sense of granting or denying? And if it's on the sense or on the side of denying, then you got to bring more evidence. You got to bring more to the table before you can get that restraining order. I've gone back and forth, but I think I can understand why they err on the side of granting it, because you don't want the bad thing to happen that you're trying to protect. So I totally understand that. Lots of new subscribers here telling me we got newbies, we got ones popping up in here. And people are flipped. So this looks like 50-50. Granting and denying literally looks like 50-50 here to me, which is really interesting. And I've actually flip-flopped on this multiple times. Yeah, okay. It seems like granting is getting a little bit more. All right. So get your questions in. I'm going to start here with the super chats that I have starred. Hopefully I did all that right. Devin's Law. Maybe you're a lawyer, Devin. If you are, let me know. Do you think Amber's team will move for a motion for directed verdict at the end of Johnny's case, or a JNOV, if he wins, given how hard it is to prove defamation of a public figure, especially with actual malice? Sounds like a lawyer question. And if you probably haven't, because so many people are new here, but when I did my initial breakdown of the case, this is basically what I said. No, I don't think they're going to win a JNOV or a directed verdict. I don't really think they're going to win either of those. But this is what I would hammer on to the jury. It is hard to prove actual malice. It is hard to prove that it was a lie and not true, or a constitutionally protected opinion. That's kind of my big thing I've been holding on to. And then damages, although it does seem like they're getting closer and closer to damages. I think they'll move for it because we move for it in every trial. Every trial, you got to move for a directed verdict. You've got to move for that JNOV. You've got to move to try to win after their case in chief. You got to try to move to win after your case in chief. And you got to file all the post-trial motions too, just to protect yourself and to protect the record. So I do think they'll move for it. I think absolutely not will it get granted, frankly, of what's relevant and what's not, because I think so much irrelevant evidence is coming out to the actual claim of defamation, which is what it seems like you're getting at. Fiona Haynes, hi, lovely. Thank you so much for your hard work. I've learned so much watching this channel. I'm a British girl living on the beautiful Welsh coast. I would love a shout out from you, Fiona. Fiona, here is your shout out all the way over here across the pond in Florida. Thank you so much for jumping in and joining. Mabel, yes, catching a live, ready to listen to my favorite lawyer. Thank you. At least I'm somebody's favorite. Do you think Amber Heard's attorneys, this is from Marina, do you think Amber Heard's attorneys are getting worried they've lost due to the credibility issues with Amber's accusation? So this is an interesting point that I've noticed as well. So it seems like when it's obvious that Amber's lawyers are getting questions fed to them by her saying this person said this or this happened, that they're denying it. And the questions that are being fed by Johnny, which you can obviously tell, they're agreeing with them, right? And I think that does build credibility. And Marina noticed it, and the jury's probably noticing it. But we have to remember, this is Johnny's case in chief. Amber's going to get her chance for the case in chief, and it better be as good as Johnny's. Because if her witnesses don't agree with her, and her witnesses do agree with Johnny, then she's screwed. Johnny's hitting everything he needs to hit during his case in chief, which is going to raise the bar for Amber. And again, because he goes first, because he has that burden of proof, he gets a head start. And any juror that's made up their minds, have any of you guys made up your minds yet? That's the next question for the chat. Have you made up your mind? If you have, put I've made up my mind. If you haven't, said I'm still considering. And don't put yes or no, because as I look back later, I may not remember what yes or no means. So give me some indication of what we're talking about in your answer. Have you already made up your mind? Because studies show a lot of jurors make up their mind in the plaintiff's case in chief, which seems unfair to the defendant. But the plaintiff's case in chief gets to go first. And Marina seems like she's starting to make up her mind, like Amber's accusations are all getting shot down, but maybe they won't be when her case in chief, which is how the legal system's supposed to be set up. Sonia, AH's team loves to say MM. Shouldn't they have to only call him by his real name since he hasn't legally changed it to MM, Marilyn Manson? MM should only be able to be referenced if someone is reading something verbatim. That's up to the judge. Just like you see if you watch the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that judge didn't let him call them victims. Other judges make you call them victims even before the crime has been proven. So that is judge to judge specific. And if she's going to allow them to be Marilyn Manson, then it goes. And again, this is something that Johnny Depp's lawyers have to be sticklers of. We have literally filed motions in cases asking for the other side to not be able to use certain words or names, exactly what you're saying. Either only call the person by their last name, or don't say the word bomb or something like that, or don't say the word weaponize or whatever it may be. We've talked about that. We've asked the judge. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. Sometimes the judge says you can't use those words, and sometimes they say you can use those words. So Johnny Depp's lawyers would have first had to ask for it, and then the judge would have to agree to it. 4,100 people here in the chat, all-time highs tonight. It almost feels like we're setting the bar too high for the next live. All right, Moon, what's up? Back again. Hi, the body cam plus lack of evidence reported by the officer seems to ruin any of Elaine's argument of negligence on the part of the officers. Ms. Heard's lawyers are sinking the ship with their lack of tact. I really agree that it does not seem like they did that negligent of investigation. What are you supposed to do? What do we expect from law enforcement? And could you imagine if Amber didn't even make an accusation and they go arrest Johnny Depp? How's that going to look? What's that backlash going to be like? Or let's say they talk to Johnny Depp and then they go arrest Amber. Or what if they're just sitting at the house for hours photographing everything? Do you think Amber and her friends would have been okay with that? For them to do a 5-hour investigation and dust everything for fingerprints just to make sure that, Amber Heard's lawyer said they did an effective job. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make the argument that they didn't do a good enough investigation, but I think the way that she made it was not very strong, exactly what you're saying. Aziba Music. Didn't Isaac testify to seeing the glass/wine around 9:30 p.m. in between two different sets of officers? So 4,200 people in the chat. So I remember him testifying that he saw it. What I don't remember is the timing and the time frame. And again, that's something that's hard for me. I'm working while I'm listening to the trial, obviously. I'm jumping in and out of a couple different lives. So I'm not paying as much attention as the jury, or maybe some of you are, to those details, but that's really important. And if he's missing details and there's things that are inconsistent with him and other witnesses, that could be a knock against Johnny Depp. And again, I don't remember him saying a time. I absolutely remember him saying, the broken glasses and wine everywhere and the big mess that the officers didn't see. Mona L, the talent agent, is Lady Gaga's ex-boyfriend. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously deals with celebrities and has dated celebrities, obviously. Stay strong. Super Sticker, thank you so much. Heather, do you think the jury will make their decision based on a real understanding of defamation or based on empathy? So this, to me, is difficult. I don't know why I can't scroll up. I wonder if I missed some super chats here. So I think they're to make it based off emotion, based off who they like better. Honestly, that's what I think. Mary Stoffel with the super chat. I've made up my mind, and my mom has too. Hi, Emily. Oh, hi. Is this Emily? Maybe that is Emily, my friend Emily with a different name. I'm not sure. Fiona, Welsh girl again. In your opinion, is Johnny Depp only interested in getting his truth out worldwide with this case? Do you think he can really prove he's been defamed? How well do you think he's doing to prove it so far? From the jump, again, you're taking the words right out of my mouth. My Welsh friend, I think he's doing it mostly to change the narrative and win the court of public opinion, which I think he's absolutely doing. I think it's very difficult to win on the defamation claim, but I think he might win because they might like him just so much more than Amber Heard. But I do think that's going to become a part of it for sure. I really do. Tushar Mita, do considerations of consent figure into requirements for evidence to grant or deny TROs? On one hand, my body and life, therefore my decision. On the other hand, evidence sought to grant or deny TROs. Do considerations of consent figure into? That depends on what they're trying to get the TRO for. 4,300 people in the chat. This is pretty crazy. Will we get to 5,000? So it depends on what they're trying to get the TRO for. If you come and say your husband abuses you, I don't think there's really a consent question to being abused there. So it really depends on consent, and you're really only getting one side of the evidence. Like somebody can literally fill out a handwritten paper and check boxes if they want to do the TRO on their own. So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about with consent specifically, but hopefully I answered your question. LS, do you think Amber's attorney suggested an EPO to get an advantage? I don't know what you mean by EPO. Some of this stuff may be very obvious and it may even be legal terms, but I am running on low sleep and working a full day today and trying to listen to this trial at the same time. So I apologize if I miss some acronym. So if somebody wants to put it in the chat, or as usually happens, everybody puts it in the chat so I can't miss what that acronym stands for. Hello from Colorado Springs, Colorado, where my sister lives currently. Do you think the agent was caught in a difficult situation with his friends and his own reputation? Yes, absolutely, which is why I kind of felt like he was pretty unbiased, which is why I felt it was so important when he gave Johnny Depp those damages and said, like, to me, in my mind, if I'm a juror, it's locked that Johnny Depp has damages from this defamation. Now, if what she said is true and I don't feel like it falls into the definition of defamation, I still might not rule in favor for Johnny if I'm a jury and trying to keep my mind open. But if I find that it is defamatory, it is a lie, and she knew it was a lie and did it to hurt him with actual malice, I actually absolutely have checked the box for damages because of him. Devin's Law, same type of lawyer as you, just in Connecticut. So a personal injury. People in the chat are going to call you ambulance chaser now, but it's okay. We roll with those punches because we know we're here to help people when they can't help themselves, and we work for free until there's a payoff. And our what we want is aligned with the clients, which there's no better way. And you're looking at a trial like this where both sides are being paid by the hour, which is why it's going to take forever and why it's taken so many years. Thanks for jumping in, man. Tiriki, what do you think of the reveal the Amber Turd was attempting to jump from Elon Musk to Johnny Depp? I thought, again, none of this looks good for her character. 4,500 people in the chat. None of this looks good for her character, honestly. And I think that, that's one of the things they're trying to bring out by saying, yeah, she was with him, she was bouncing back and forth, calling one of them a waste of space or just filling up space, and she doesn't really love him, but she's still toying with him. I don't think anybody likes that. Now, is that relevant to defamation? I don't see how. I would try to keep that out, but I don't think people are going to generally like that. Do you think Amber already admitted malicious intent on the tapes where she told Johnny Depp and his team that his team forced her hand in writing the op-ed? No, not yet. I don't think that that's really showed actual malicious intent yet, but I think they may get it when she's on the stand. I'm interested to see. Thank you, CJOJ. I'm interested to see if they get more of that when she's on the stand. Thank you, Fatima. Can they ask her to demo the makeup skills? I got to be honest with you, Bina. Generally and normally, I would say no. But when you make it this big of a deal at trial, who knows? I almost think it's fair game at this point. Sanada, Sandoval. Okay, Johnny. Hurd's defense, 4,600 people in the chat. Hurd's defense is Johnny's witness can't be trusted. He's a megastar, but he ruined his own career. He's an old washed-up actor. Seems counterintuitive on top of all the errors. I agree with you. Now, sometimes there is a place for kind of conflicting arguments when you are on the defense, and you can find different ways to win. But I agree with you. Some of that is contradictory. You know, either he's a superstar and nothing can bring him down, or he's washed up and his boat was sinking. So why haven't all these people jumped ship, right? Kind of exactly what you're saying. I agree with that. Good point. 4,600. This is definitely by far the most we've ever had in the chat, which I hope means a lot of you are going over and subscribing. Maybe we'll get to 50K quicker than we thought. I am shocked. I never thought we would get to 50K this fast. Like, it's insane. I saw Alita go from like 50 to 100 in a snap. She's live streaming these all days. I mean, she's going to the moon. If we could just get to like Mars, that would be cool. Our Mars is further than the moon. That was not I'm not a geography expert. You don't come here for that. Stay strong. Doesn't Up have an advantage? I would think that she would have an advantage ready to assess. Shout from Florida as well. I'm glad you're from Florida. That's awesome. Doesn't Up have an advantage or a disadvantage? I would think she would have an advantage ready to assess. Man, I am not sure what this question is asking. I apologize. But I appreciate the super chat. And I'll try to check out and see if you get. I skipped Daniela's super chat. I am so sorry. This is the first time I've ever starred super chats and then gone into a separate chat to read them, which then the chat was flying and I missed a super chat. So if anybody can repeat Daniela's question, if you saw it, or if Daniela, if you could put it in here without paying for a super chat, I will absolutely try to get to it. Ex parte order. Okay, ex parte order. So the question was, is that an advantage or disadvantage? I think if the jury can understand it, it would be a disadvantage, and it would make the TRO, the temporary restraining order, less compelling than if they know both parties were there fighting it out, lawyers were fighting it out, and the judge ruled in favor for Amber, because that's not how it works with an EPO. I've never heard anybody call it an EPO before, an ex parte order. Thank you for clearing that up, Sonia. And Daniela, I see Suzette. Thank you. So Suzette, somebody post the question in here if you know where it is or you see it, because for some reason I can't scroll all the way up and see it. I'm obviously not good at YouTube, guys. I apologize. My day job is lawyering. I try to figure this YouTube stuff out at night, but I apologize for missing it. Are jurors allowed to take notes? Yes. How are the attorneys that are handling this dealing with their day jobs? They have other lawyers doing it, or they just kind of shut down their practice for this, which is why it costs a lot of money. Hopper, my favorite moments list is getting longer. Aggressive Elaine asking the cops if they know who Amber was. Nope, never heard of her. Poor Amber. I think I was on a live and my face went, you know, somebody with her personality or BPD is not going to like that. Is not going to like that at all. Guys, help out Daniela. Yeah. If you can let me know by saying Daniela's question, I will get to it. Great to see your channel growing. Thank you, Fatima. Give a shout out to your Filipino viewers. I love my Filipino viewers. My step-grandmother is Filipino, and I have a slew of Filipino aunts, like 6 of them from that marriage. So I love Filipinos. Tushar, not sexual consent, but sanctity of life and decision sort of consent, evidence versus who populates the evidence. Yeah, they honestly, they err on the side of protection. That's really how the law is set up. And I'll say in Florida, most states are similar, but they really err on the side of protection of the victim. There are plenty of TROs. Don't get me wrong, and don't misunderstand this. There are plenty of TROs that get struck down from day one when the judge brings them in, and the judge can tell there's something off about this person. Or, if it is Johnny Depp, and let's say some random person that wasn't married to him wanted to get a TRO against Johnny Depp, they're not going to do that. Or if it's your neighbor or somebody living in your house, sometimes they'll be less likely to give a TRO like that. Martin, timeline of 6 weeks. Why so long? 40 witnesses-ish on Johnny's witness list, 80 witnesses-ish on Amber Heard's witness list. That's a lot of witnesses. And there's a lot of orders. So somebody else said EPO means emergency protective order. So that could be another thing, because sometimes it is an emergency, which means it's in effect immediately and you don't give the defendant a time to kind of plan for it. So I skipped your super chat. Daniela, I see you. Give me it again. Post it. Don't pay for it again. Just post it in the chat again. I will get to it. I promise. I hope people can. Florida West Coast, the best coast. That's right. Agreed. West rhymes with best. Exactly. Django, there's a reason for that. How much do you think this trial is costing each side in terms of attorneys, witnesses, and court fees? It has to literally be, in order to make it worth it, it has to be thousands of dollars per day per side. I would not be surprised at all if it was $10,000 a day. I really would not be surprised at that. And maybe more, because there are so many lawyers there. Can he call her to hostile witness? He's not going to have to. He's going to be able to cross her. But if he was going to cross her, then, or if he was going to call her, then yes, he could treat her as hostile. We're almost at 4,700 people. When will she take the stand? We don't know yet. I thought EPO was some kind of therapist. Don't know. I've answered a couple different EPOs now. Actual malice means knowingly false in defamation. And in a lot of jurisdictions, it actually means like you did it with the intent to hurt them as well. All right, let's see what else we got. Industry Rajan. Hi, new subscriber. Love your channel. Thank you so much. 4,700. We broke 4,700. We're getting to 5,000, and I just kind of feel it. We're almost at the hour mark. I'm going to stay longer again to see if we can hit 5,000. Do you think the testimony regarding Amber Heard wanting to reconcile with Johnny Depp in 2018 will help his case? Thanks. Yes. I mean, I think that it will help his case, but I also think what helps his case is she was also with Elon Musk on the side. She was telling him to break this temporary restraining order. I do think it's going to help his case, though. Yeah. And I think it helps his case that he was willing to meet with her and still talk to her. Now, based on the same thought process, maybe that helps her case, that he was willing to continue to talk to her. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Nikki. Can somebody give me Daniela's question? I feel so bad. Sub, thank you, Danielle. Thank you to all the people that are subbing. Grant, thanks, buddy. Save Mars for Elon. Seriously, I need to stay out of that world. Shoot for Mars. Gosh. Thank you, Kathleen. Rakita brought me. Hope your channel grows. Thank you. I always have fun on there. He's hilarious. I feel like he could be a comedian if he wasn't a lawyer. I really think he's funny. He's got quick wit to him. Thanks again, Grant. Fiona. Elaine repeats the questions to witnesses over and over. I find it very annoying. Will the jury, is this normal? So this, I think, there's a lot of things that I think are a person by person. Zuma, I'm sorry, man. I first time jumping on the side, it was a mistake. I will not do that anymore until I actually can figure out, what I was doing. So I apologize. If you put it in, you did a super chat and I missed it, let me know and repeat the question without a super chat, and I will do my absolute best to get to it. I apologize. Fiona, Elaine repeats questions to witnesses over and over. I find it very annoying with the jury, or will the jury? I think some jurors absolutely will. And that's kind of been consensus. It really feels like that's consensus. I forgot Zuma's too. I got that. Zuma, what's your question? Yeah, let me know your question. I want to get it. I really want to get it. Again, first time trying something new. I should have known better. It's my bad. Patricia, what's up? Thank you, Suzette. You rock. I will keep an eye out for your name. I'm scrolling a little bit slower. Yes, Joanna, I am an amateur. I agree with that. I don't think it's very sweet when I miss people's super chats, though, so I feel really bad about that. Yeah, and I have my social media marketer telling me what to do, but like I don't understand how to do half this stuff. I saw some people saying that guy looked like an older version of me. That's funny. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. L saved the day, hopefully. Daniela's question. See, we can fix this stuff, guys. We can fix this stuff. It's 2022. How damaging to Johnny Depp would it be hearing Amber Heard's witnesses to say she is great, nice, etc., even though officers, Alex, and other people said no injury occurred? I agree with you. That's not enough, Daniela and L. That is not enough to get over the hump. It really is not. And to me, she's going to need so much more than that. But I think it's like a ladder or almost like a mountain or a house. Let's say a house that they built brick by brick, Johnny Depp's team is building. And one of the serious bricks they have to get over is that everybody seems to say Johnny's a great guy and Amber's not. So I think at the very least, she needs to get people to say that, right? Now, will people be able to say that she was beat up or bruised? I don't know, because I don't know if that's true. But I'm sure she has friends that like her, right? I mean, I'm assuming she has that. So does she have the same amount of friends that are going to come and say it like Johnny did? Now, the interesting thing is, Johnny got some friends like Isaac and his sister and his personal security guard, I'll call a friend. But the doorman, the guy that ran his house or his private island, not necessarily friends. You know, they can be a little less biased. Same thing with officers, like you said, less biased, very important for him to get them on his side. And that's why I always think they mean a little bit more than the best friend from my childhood or my sister. Yes, Nadine, that's funny. I almost didn't cover this one. That is facts. That's facts. Yes, Miss B, thank you. Patricia, thank you for being here. Yeah, Zuma, we can't find your super chat. Apology doesn't get me my money back. Okay, bro, we'll get you your money back however we can. Let me figure out how to do that, and we'll get you your money back. No problemo. I'm sure I could scroll through after it's over and get your money back. We will do that. Haunting Hollywood. Has TV called for your legal analysis? Because they will. I have done some spots on it, not really since the YouTube channel has started. 4840 in the chat, though. Almost 5,000. That's awesome. Haunting Hollywood. Not yet, since the YouTube channel has kind of blown up, but we'll see. I don't know if it's considered blown up. It's blown up for me. I mean, we hit 1,000 subscribers. I was like, wow, I can't believe we have 1,000 subscribers. L posted it. Awesome. I'm probably behind because, again, I'm scrolling slower to make sure I don't miss any. PGG. Is Johnny not hard up for cash? Do you think this will affect his end goals? I assume if he wins, he wants the money. How about you? I'm sure he wants the money. I don't know if she has it, depending on what he wins. But I think if he rehabs his image from a PR perspective, then he can go out, make big movies. Like I said, make that redemption movie, get the big paychecks, and start, shooting back up with how much money he's making. Yes, other people posting Daniela's question. You guys are awesome. I'm just behind, so I really appreciate it. A lot of people saying they love Alejandro's testimony. Yes, 80 witnesses, wild. Daniela, another shout here, put you up on the screen. Thank you for finding the question, everybody. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Let's see what else we got here. Stay strong. Sorry for texting my phone is difficult. Absolutely no problem at all. Amber would have an advantage because she's going second, ready to assess. Okay, now I understand your question. So you think it's an advantage to go second, which opens up an absolutely perfect question for the audience. If you were a juror, because most of you out there could be jurors in your jurisdiction, whether you realize it or not. Do you think it's an advantage as a party in a case to go first or second in trial? My opinion, my strong opinion is first. And somebody, came at me in the chat or in the comments the other day about giving my opinion when I ask these questions, but I like to give my opinion. Even if you disagree, that's cool. So let me know if you think it's an advantage for the party to go first or second in a trial like this. Thank you. Stay strong. Differing opinions are fun. That's what makes it fun. Haircut? No, Alex. Not for a long time. I might get it trimmed here at some point. East Beast. Talking about Florida, I assume. Haunting Hollywood. How would you cross-examine Amber? So we talked about this a little bit earlier. I would be very nice, and I would basically insinuate that things that she's saying or doing are not true to let her argue with me and try to explain how they are true. I would ask her if she was listening while other people were on the stand, right? And say, you heard what they said. Are you calling them a liar? I'm going to ask if she's going to call all 20 witnesses a liar. I'm going to ask what evidence she has that any of this actually happened. I'm going to ask her, so you didn't name Johnny in the op-ed, right? Who were you talking about? And make her say Johnny's name on the stand. Or if she's going to try to lie and say it wasn't Johnny, tell me somebody else. Who else did you defame then in this article? So I think there's a lot of ways you can kind of nitpick. She is one, if I had this case, she's one that you would take days and days and days and potentially weeks with multiple lawyers preparing this cross. Not something necessarily I'd have a full preparation for off the top of my head, but that's what I would pick. I would try to point out her inaccuracies in her memory. I would try to talk about all the people that disagree with what she says. That would be kind of my story, and try to get her agitated on the stand, because I don't think it would be that difficult, because I think the jury should see kind of what Johnny had to deal with for those years. Almost at 5,000 in here. It's crazy. We got really, really close to 5,000. If you guys haven't subscribed already, take a second and subscribe. We're getting really close to 50,000 subs, so that'll be fun if we can get there. Conflict for the psych to have dinner at Depp's house. So I asked this in the video. I broke that down, and most people said no. This is from NYOOOO. A lot of people said no. I don't think it's a good look personally, and I would never do something like this. I would meet at her office or have her come to my office. I'm not having drinks and dinner with my client and her. The optics just don't look good. I like to be above reproach, as they say. Kathleen, AH actually said in words in 16 that Johnny Depp abused her. Isn't that enough evidence that she defamed him in the 18 op-ed 2 years later? It's not enough evidence for defamation. If you're saying it's enough evidence to say she was talking about Johnny, then yes, I think that's pretty obvious that's who she was talking about. Whether or not it was defamation, that's not enough, because, again, she could still be standing on the fact that she says it's true, or her opinion. Yes, Daniela. Ooh, Court TV reporting that Amber should testify next week. Awesome. Lauren, do you think Aquaman could be holding off on announcing Amber Heard contract termination until the trial is over because they are aware it could affect AH's defamation claim, prove that she sustained damages as a result? I have no idea why they're holding it. It seems like they're doing some stuff based on this case. So I don't really have any insight into that, but definitely kind of, if we connect the dots, it could be. Ooh, almost 4,900 in the chat. Now we're getting there. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Aaron. Heather Farber, any insights on how well you think the judge is controlling the trial? I definitely think she's controlling the trial well, especially for the time, and she's making calls, which is great and most important, to actually give them answers on their objections quickly. I think she's just wrong on some of her calls. It's balls and strikes, and we call it balls and strikes because when you're an umpire behind the plate, it's not always easy to tell if it is a ball or strike, and sometimes you got to make judgment calls. And it's not unusual for me to disagree with a couple calls a judge makes throughout a case, but I really disagree with some of her calls on the case that I do think could potentially flip the way this case is looked at. What's your specialty? Stay Strong asked. I am a plaintiff's personal injury lawyer. Most of what I do, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, slip and fall claims on the plaintiff side. And then we also do some criminal defense. My dad primarily does criminal defense. He was a former federal and state prosecutor. So we do a lot of both at our firm. We have 4 lawyers, about to be 5, and 12 staff. So we're kind of a small firm in Clearwater, Florida. Yeah, Megan, that's not really how it works on here, I guess. I've kind of found out people are pretty tough. And yeah, I'm happy to give that guy his money back. We will figure out how. I obviously have no clue how, but I will make it right one way or the other. Pixie, here's a good question. Why is hearsay allowed in a deposition? Hearsay is allowed in a deposition because it's a discovery deposition and you're trying to find stuff out. And sometimes when they say, this person told me that, you could say, okay, when did they tell you that? And what did they tell you? Blah, blah, blah. Because now I can go depose that other person. So if Pixie, you said that Daniela told you something in a deposition, I can say, okay, good. I know I need to go depose Daniela. But I can't ask you that at trial. If I want that statement to come in, I got to call Daniela. Thank you, Brianna, again. Same here, paid twice already. Alan Girl, let me know what you asked. Don't pay again. Let me know what you asked and I'll answer it, which is the point of the super chat, right? Get your question out, answer it. I want to answer it. If you don't want your question answered anymore, let me know and I will get you the money back somehow. No big deal at all. Lisa, how long do I think trial lasts? 6 weeks total. New person here. What up, sweet Vampy? Mary, defamation case is sadly too risky for average people. Cost of suit and defamer could be broke, so no reparation. Yeah, I agree with you. It's really tough. It's really hard. Most lawyers won't take them contingent. That's for sure. That is literally for sure. It's really tough, and it sucks to be the lawyer to have to tell them like you wouldn't have a case, or we don't feel confident enough in your case, or one of the problems is the defendant may not be able to pay for your damages. So you do all of this and you go win, and then no money for damages. It's tough. Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you understanding. Would you ask Amber why she wanted Depp to violate the TRO? Was she setting him up for arrest? No, she just wanted to meet with him, Elle. And that's what came out. And that's what came out, that she just wanted to meet with him. She did. They talked. She didn't call the cops. She didn't turn him in. She didn't try to get him arrested or anything like that. So, I may ask her if she was. I may just ask, were you trying to set him up? Just because it seems like that's what she's been doing. That's kind of her MO. So I may ask her something like that. Need somebody like you to help me prep for you, put our heads together. Let's see here. PGG, I did answer one of yours. If you give another one, let me know and I will get to it. All right, I'm still scrolling and I'm way behind, so I'm going to get to all of them. Don't worry. I'm going to get to all of them now. I missed some while I was over in the other column looking at the starred ones. All right, here we go. D. Haynes, although he probably doesn't deserve it, let's give Zuma his answer, okay? The TRO never should have been issued. There was no evidence Depp did anything. It was just a political hit job on Depp during the Me Too movement. Shocking. I'm going to have to disagree with you, Zuma, which I'm sure is not going to make you very happy. You don't need to provide a bunch of evidence for a TRO a lot of times. You just have to prove with your statement, your testimony. Again, if she provided pictures of the bruises, that usually is going to be enough to get a TRO in a domestic situation. So it's not, I don't think it was a political hit job personally. And I don't think we've heard Depp ever say that either. But again, probably disagree with me, probably not be happy with that answer. Janine, that's funny. Thank you. Lily Cast, thank you so much. You guys are funny. Okay, looks like Elon and Franco are not testifying. So Tarantula, has that been confirmed? I haven't seen that. Thought about CPS getting involved after hearing all this about her? No, I really don't. I mean, I think the governmental agencies like law enforcement and stuff are not going to get involved in this case. It's like a Hollywood soap opera with mudslinging. I really don't think. I really don't think that. I don't think CPS is going to get involved. Child Protective Services, more acronyms, or law enforcement. I really don't think so. Yes, listen to this nice person. All right, Moon. And again, I am behind. So if you've given the super chat, it's coming now. I just missed, I think, two while I was looking at the starred ones. Moon, hi again. Last question. Feel free, buddy. Will the jury get a chance to review the expressions of JD and AH during examinations, or are they close enough to see? Odd to see AH writing almost 100% of the time. Thank you. So yeah, the jury's definitely close enough. So how it's usually positioned, and I think it is in this case, although I haven't seen the jury on camera, the plaintiff, just like in a criminal case, the prosecution sits closest to the jury box. So Johnny Depp's team is here. No, I'm all backwards. But let's just say Johnny Depp's team is here. Amber Heard's team is here. The jury box would be here. Johnny Depp's team would be closer. Amber Heard's team would kind of be across the courtroom, but they could still absolutely see it. And they're very close to the witness stand. So when somebody takes the witness stand, they can absolutely see it. Brian, I have no idea what happened, buddy. What's your question? Get it on here. Let me try to answer it. Finish crisp. Haya from Scotland. Can an appeal be denied? And if so, who would decide that? The appellate court would decide that. And yes, it could be denied, of course. Daniela, you did not have to do this. Please, nobody feel like you have to do this. If I don't think Zuma's going to do this, if I had to guess. But thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right. 4,800 has been kind of consistent, which is wild because that's still a lot of people. I hope all 4,800 of you have subscribed. Even if Zuma didn't, hopefully the rest of you will subscribe. I hope. I hope. And I understand Zuma. I understand them being upset. I missed the super chat. It was my bad. It was my bad. Jennifer Ellsworth. Maybe AH has acted poorly towards her attorneys. Their poor cross/demeanor could be their way of low-key exposing her. Thoughts about bad clients? I don't think so. If you think the client's that bad that you really hate them, withdraw from the case. Don't go sabotage their case. You put your law license online. I mean, that's just horrible. Like, don't do that to people. I really hope people don't do that. I really hope lawyers don't do that. I did see another question about client control. And do you think that, yeah, stay strong. You did. Thank you. Do you think that Amber's forcing to ask certain questions? Absolutely. I think that could be the case. It seems like most people are saying going first is better. First. I don't see any seconds. Yeah, I believe JD wants another big contract, not Amber's money. Yeah, everybody's saying first here, advantage to go first, not second. Thank you, Diane. I take it as support. Yeah. I mean, because I answer questions that are not paid too. So I just take it as you guys having fun. I appreciate it. Bodie, what's up, buddy? Now I don't want to go back to 50 viewers. I know I get what you're saying, but I recognize the OGs like you. I appreciate it. All right. Wow, Shitfast Performance paying to get Zuma's question answered. So I did answer it. I'm glad I answered it. Shitfast Performance, I appreciate you, man, or woman. If you have another question, I'll remember this name and I will answer it if I see another question from you in here. Oh, I saw a vote for second. It's the first vote I've seen for second. Okay, there's two. So two out of probably 100 votes. So about 2% of the people voted that going second is actually a bigger a bigger advantage. There's 3 seconds. People saying 100K. I don't know about that. I don't know if we'll hit the 100K mark, yeah. All right. Fiona, create a membership program. So many of us would pay a subscription for your channel. Your clear passion, knowledge, dedication to your subscribers, so refreshing. I will look into that. If I'm being honest, I don't know how to do it. So I'll try to figure out how to do that. Team Zero, will AH testify before her witnesses? Subbed last night. Thank you for subbing last night. She'll take the stand in and during her case in chief. I don't know whether she'll go near the beginning or near the end, or kind of like Johnny, where he kind of went in the middle. I don't know if they'll set up her testimony like they did for Johnny. It'll be a strategy, definitely a strategic decision when she testifies. So that's what I'm really interested to see. Will she go first? Will they save her for last? How will they try to protect her? Let's see. Jennifer Tucker, thank you so much. CJOJ, why do you think Johnny met with Amber's former personal assistant, who clearly hates Amber, after Amber let her go? Is it not suspicious? It seems like they both were kind of building and riding this wave, and it was growing for years and years and years. And I bet they did a lot of things like this that maybe you or I wouldn't do, that I think some people would find suspicious, but others may not. So it's kind of, this is another one of those kind of preference questions. Florina, evidence is important to look at. Amber used red lipstick to write those messages on the walls. JD even said it. She staged all those photos. And to add to this, she put that nail polish on the tissue to look like blood. You know, I do think there's evidence she does try to set this stuff up, kind of, which is why the more I had of it, the more I would present of it. Julamid, hello from Saudi Arabia. I still think Amber Heard's team has some cards that they haven't played yet, but if JD wins, do you think he can sue WD or Disney? I would think WD would be Walt Disney, or Disney too, or do you mean the Washington Post? I don't think he is. I think he wants to prove a point against Amber. And now if he starts suing other people, then maybe people can come in and say, oh, it's not about, you know, a guy being a victim. It's not about standing up for victims. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. I mean, he can sue whoever as long as it's within the statute. I agree with Fiona. Thank you, Judy. What do you think about the poop incident, or not worth it? I do think it's an important thing, as everybody laughs about it. It's memorable. They're not going to forget that. And it makes her look like she's snaps at times, you know, and does stuff that we may think, wow, that doesn't make any sense, but she is known to do stuff like that. I think that's how you kind of set it up, is with stories like that. Stay strong, soften her up for the kill. Daniela again. Ariane Fowler, thank you, Daniela. In case you didn't understand that when I said thank you again, it's unnecessary. You don't have to keep thanking me. I appreciate you. Ariana Fowler, I hope they make Amber Heard who she was referring to in the op-ed piece. Also, I think Johnny Depp will donate the money and actually donate it, not just say he's going to donate it. This isn't about money for him. While I agree with you, and I think that that's true, and that's what they should do, is, again, I think what you mean is show that she's the actual abuser. But while it's not about money, he spends a lot of money in his life, and it does seem like it's not going as well financially as it used to be. So maybe he will donate some money, but then get a big movie role like we're talking about. If the Milani palette was out in Europe in 2015, how will that affect what Milani US said for the trial? It'll make them look dumb, but it's not really going to affect the trial because Johnny won't use it. His team won't use it to impeach them. And, you know, it is what it is. And it'll just continue on as if that entire incident never happened that took the social media world by storm. Haunting Hollywood, what's the most difficult cross you've done? Some of the most difficult crosses are against really seasoned FBI agents. And, you know, that sometimes is really difficult. You spar with them, you get what you can. Really good experts sometimes. I had a really fun cross in federal court on a criminal case with an expert where we got almost his entire report thrown out. He was only allowed to testify to 2 or 3 things. But once we whittled it down to those 2 or 3 things, it was really tough to poke holes in those 2 or 3 things. So I would say certain really good experts or FBI agents who are lawyers. A lot of them are lawyers. That's always fun. $4,900 viewers, but only 1,700 likes. Come on, guys, hit the like button if you would. Angel Fry, thank you. Angel Fry, thank you. Just thank you. Still alive. What are the biggest calls the judge has made that you disagree with the most? I have felt she had Amber's team side for a while, overruled more objections that benefit their team. In my opinion, anyways, I did think early it was kind of leaning towards Amber, but late I feel like it's been towards Johnny Depp. I feel like sustaining those objections at the end of Johnny Depp's cross, where they wanted to ask why he sued Amber when that was literally the first question he was asked on direct with his lawyers, but they weren't allowed to cross him on it, which I didn't think was fair. And then number two, asking if those statements in the op-ed were in fact true or how he knew they were false, and they wouldn't let him ask him because it's a legal conclusion. That's not a legal conclusion. He was not asked is this defamation? He's just asking, is this true? Now, I would have asked it a different way. I would have said, did this happen? Did she file this TRO? Because that's one of the things that was talked about, and they wouldn't let him answer it. So those were a couple that I thought were just not good. And then I think she's missed, which some that haven't mattered as much, certain questions that she says are leading, like, did you ever do this? Or did you ever see anybody do that? Because they start with did as kind of a key word or phrase. She said that they were leading and sustained objections that I disagree with. And I think she's just let in so much character evidence from both sides that if I was a judge, I wouldn't have let in for certain reasons. Now, some of it's at issue, and getting into some of it, I understand, but I do think some irrelevant information has come in. A lot of people posting in here that they have made up their mind already. Yeah, Patricia, I hate to say that this is more common than but you see, some lawyers post verdicts that they don't get any of. $1.8 million award with you don't get a cent. And it really sucks. And it feels like you lose even when you win. Jennifer, what would you be saying to her right now if I represented her? We'd be focusing a lot on her facial expressions and just try to stay straight faced. I like somebody said before, she's writing 100% of the time. And that is tough to kind of get over. But I think if she's writing, that usually looks good and that's usually fine. And jurors usually understand that she's invested in the case, she's paying attention. I'd be saying that to her. I'd be saying to her to calm down. We're going to get if she's freaking out, I would say, calm down. We're going to get our chance to put on our case in chief. And we'd talk a lot, like that. Just try to keep her head in the game. It's a long process. And then obviously we'd already be prepping and have her prepped for her direct at this point. Stay strong. I'm in Clewiston. Injury caused by doctor. Email. My email is lawyeryounknow@gmail.com through this channel. So if you have an actual legal question about the case, you can absolutely reach out to me by there. I can't give any legal advice or do any of that specifically on here, but I'm happy to take consults over the phone, email. I provide my phone number. Our website's tragoslaw.com. You can find all my information, my credentials, my resume, everything's over there. Our verdicts, our settlements, what we've done, what kind of law we practice, all on tragoslaw.com. It's wide open there. And yeah, if you want to call or email us, we're happy to talk about specific cases. And what we handle is, injury law or criminal defense for the most part. NYOOO, AH calling him a baby should be enough said. I mean, I don't know if that's enough said, but that's not great. Her calling him a baby. I agree with you. Devin's Law. Yeah, you want to build a box, trap her in it until she loses it. Shameen Janest, I am from Canada, and my question is, Amber Heard's lawyers asking questions that are so obvious and asking them over and over. I also noticed the aggressivity or aggressiveness of Amber Heard's lawyers. Is it a normal thing for U.S. lawyers? Yes. Some people in the U.S., they love aggressiveness and aggression, and they want the most aggressive lawyer. But, sometimes it backfires. I think you have to pick and choose your spots. But based on your question, I think you and a lot of other people get annoyed at her asking the questions over and over again. Will it backfire that Amber Heard, this is from No Fear, Will it backfire that Amber Heard's attorney tried so hard to basically criminalize JD's drug and alcohol issues? It's an illness, not a major issue, and jury may know this. This is something we've said a lot, that certain people on the jury are going to think it's really damning, and other people on the jury aren't going to care at all. And a lot of people in the chat are like, this is what you expect from a rock star or a superstar or a big time actor like this. Texas 3D, I don't think this is about money for JD. This is about reputation. 100% agree with you. Haunting Hollywood. Could a defense that totally trashes JD backfire? Absolutely. I think it could backfire. They think it's going too far. But again, I do think it could resonate with some jurors. And that's why they're going so strong into the drugs and alcohol. What did you have for dinner? Burp. Yeah, man, I got the burps all the time. My wife made meatloaf, which is my 6-year-old son's favorite. Meatloaf, mac and cheese, and these like buffalo cauliflower bites or something weird. Those were not my favorite, but I like the meatloaf. Sakura blossoms. It's sad if Depp loses because the women might feel like they can lie and get away with it. Absolutely, we don't want to promote that in our country. If Amber loses this defamation case, would she probably appeal? And this could go on forever and ever, or am I incorrect? Tom, unfortunately, you're correct. An appeal is always a threat, and it can just drag the case ever and ever. So yes, she could and probably would appeal if she lost, especially if it was for $50 million. If she lost for $1, she may pay the $1. I don't know. Ellen Fuller, what are the calls that you think the judge is making that can flip the case? I already mentioned some of them. Hopefully you were around for that answer. But the main ones were cutting off Elaine. I think it was Elaine. Was it Elaine now? I can't even remember. Maybe it was Ronborn. I can't remember who crossed Johnny. But cutting off the end of those questionings to Johnny, crushing that cross. He sat down, basically lost, and Stay Strong asked the same question. And that's what I thought. That's, I thought, the biggest one. And then obviously all of the character evidence that she's letting in. Heather, how does a trial like this get on TV? Do both sides have to agree? Does it being broadcast impact the jurors in any way? So do you think? So the two sides don't necessarily have to agree, but if they harshly disagreed, they could file a motion to try to prevent the cameras from being in there. But generally, it's beneficial for the public for them to be able to see how their judicial system works. And so most states have local ordinances or state rules that say this can be broadcast, and then all the different stations that broadcast it work with the court to get the cameras in there. Almost all these are on CCTV already. The only places it can never come in and happen is in federal court. Jillian, do you think the bruises on Amber's pictures are fake? I 99% believe Johnny's side of the things, but I have a tiny flicker of doubt because of the pic. I feel like, I don't know if they're fake or if she, got him a different way or something. I don't know. I feel like I don't know yet. I haven't made my decision on that yet. Probably like you, I'm still reserving ruling on that. Musk and Franco confirmed by the court not testifying. Okay. Zuma dog. As a narcissist, I am loving all the comments. Don't even worry about the refund. I'm the dog you love to hate. You do a great show. Zuma, I don't hate, man. I'm with you. I agree. Now, I would have been nicer probably on that other comment, like, I'm sorry it doesn't give me my money back. I agree with you. It doesn't give you your money back. I was trying to still answer the question, which is why you gave the money. I was trying to answer the question. That's what I was trying to do. You are welcome here, brother. Anytime you want. But that is so spot on and on the nose, as they say, for this trial. As a narcissist, I'm loving all the comments. Don't worry about the refund. Stick around. Ask more questions. Appreciate you, man. All right, PMW. Since I'm licensed in insurance, I will come work for you. GL and auto claims, pay for my move. Joking. That's funny. Yeah, a lot of law firms like mine have people that worked in the insurance industry before. We have a lawyer that used to be an insurance defense lawyer that works for us now, board certified civil trial guy. So yeah, that happens all the time. All the time. Yeah, a bunch of people asking about the cost. Again, I don't know, but it's got to be thousands and thousands per day. Thank you, Michelle Roberts. I do recognize the name. Thank you. Just Joe, I am from Florida. All right, Brian, could a juror get in trouble laughing at something that happens in the courtroom while others may be laughing? Should they be emotionless? They should try to be emotionless because they shouldn't really try to like tip off what they're thinking or give one side an indication that they need to keep doing something or start doing something. Holy cow, it's been an hour and a half. I need to start winding this down. I'm going to fall asleep as I'm sitting on here. The time flew by tonight. They should be emotionless. They're not going to get in trouble for now. If they're doing stuff out of character or bursting out laughing or yelling or standing up or doing something distracting, the court will admonish them. But if something comes out that's funny and they have a little snicker like everybody else in the gallery may, they're not going to get in trouble for that. If it goes overboard, the court will just admonish them. They're not going to get kicked out for laughing or anything like that. A lot of people asking again how much longer it'll go. I think 3 more weeks, right? I think we're 3 weeks into it, and they think 6 weeks. Thank you, Ocean Eyes. Stan, Mr. Peter Tragos Esquire, great analysis with this Depp v. Heard case. Will you comment later, maybe on the Tyree Sampson family versus Icon Park case and the death of the free fall ride? Yeah, I actually did a video on that. Probably has nowhere near the views these Johnny Depp videos get, but I did do a video on that. I really encourage you to check it out. It was really interesting. Get in the comments over there too if you end up watching that video. Thank you, Jerry. Just sub, Zach. Awesome. If you guys sub, let me know. Either like Zach or by putting a 1 in here. Chamomile tea. What if Amber Heard has a meltdown? I need some chamomile tea. Real or fake, or sustains a spider bite and goes to the hospital. Can she be forced to take the stand? Love from Canada. So in civil cases, you can't refuse to take the stand as a party. If she's such a bad witness, and I've said this again, so I'm repeating myself, if she's such a bad witness that her side doesn't want to call her, you better believe that the other side, Johnny Depp's lawyers, are going to call her. Lisa, how about a class action on our part, the public's, against Amber Heard for depriving us of Jack Sparrow? We've been harmed too. Beverly, happily pay for a lawyer membership. Golly, am I that far behind still? Was Amber's assistant testimony thrown out? I haven't seen Amber's, or I haven't seen anybody get thrown out except for Duder. Was that her name? It was like one of Johnny's employees' wives was the only one that got thrown out. Thrown off the stand, I should say, testimony wise. Melinda C. Does the jury get transcripts at the end of the day? No. So when they're back deliberating, they can ask for transcripts. Sometimes they get transcripts given to them in the back. Sometimes they don't. Melistasi, another name I recognize from early days. Depots are annoying but effective. I like that you get to see people when they're more comfortable as opposed to being on their best behavior in court. I agree, or even a little nervous in court. Good point. Elise, have learned a lot from listening to your channel. Thank you, Elise from Norway. Thank you, Elise. Appreciate you being here. Tell your friends in Norway. Do you feel that blackmail letter hurt Amber Heard, Cynthia? I don't know what blackmail letter you're talking about. If it came, I'm focused on what's coming out in trial. I haven't. I've tried to stay away from all of the outside stuff because I want to look at just what the jury's looking at. So if I missed it come into trial, let me know. If it's something outside of the trial, I'm not sure. What team of lawyers is performing better overall, in your opinion? I would say Johnny Depp's lawyers. I don't think either have really felt like they've hit it out of the park, but it is a really stressful, high-profile case, so I can understand that. Haunting Hollywood, what YouTube channels do you enjoy? Try mine. I am mostly a YouTube golf enthusiast. Like I watch The Good Guys. I watch the Brian Bros. I watch Foreplay Golf. I watch No Laying Up. I love the golf channels. That's how I got into it during the pandemic, and that's when I started making videos, was after watching them. So kind of random. Deborah B., do judges feel it is the lawyer's job to rein their witnesses in, and that is why they let the witnesses go on and on? Yeah, usually a judge is not going to cut off a witness. They're not going to make a call usually until a lawyer forces the judge to make the call. Vicky, as a defense attorney, do you find it concerning that many people have made up their mind about Amber Heard's case without her team having presented yet? I'm actually a civil plaintiff's lawyer, so I usually go first. But on the criminal side, going second, yes. It's always a huge problem and something we always have to overcome. We do get worried they make up their mind, which is why your opening statement needs to be really good. In your opening statement, you need to tell the jurors to relax, listen to all the evidence, and wait till they hear everything before making their decision. Kyle, my handicap is an 8. Yes, Tucker, hit the like button, please. What do I think about Heard's attorney objecting to himself? Oh, it was sad. I don't like to make fun of lawyers. I really don't. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it was hard not to laugh. It sounded like he had marbles in his mouth. He was like, objection hearsay. It was sad. Not a great moment. Rodney, another OG on the channel. All right, let's see here. Do you think trials like this can result in, for example, Amber Heard being completely dehumanized regardless of defamation? Potentially finish, Chris, but I don't think it's going to have that far-reaching results. Gio Rio, the judge tells witnesses to not look up things or talk between the break or day after, but talent agent was a big-time difference. How does that work? Thanks for all your insights. I'm not sure what you mean, but the talent agent, his depo was done before, so I'm not sure what you mean by look up. Oh, you mean you think that the two depo videos were 2 different days? Sometimes that happens, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, when it's a deposition, discovery deposition, it's not as strict as when it's at trial because usually those depos are not used at trial. Jennifer Metzger, why are JD's lawyers not showing pics of real women with actual broken noses, black eyes, to prove swelling that can't be covered with makeup the very next day? So that is not considered relevant. You can't really show stuff like that. You can get that in with medical testimony, though. Which I don't think they're doing a great job about with, but it's also something that may be common knowledge and ask the jury to have common sense. Thank you, Solemn Crying. Kins, what is an opinion that you have that you thought would be most unpopular for the comments you're seeing? You trying to get me in trouble with my own commenters here? I mean, I think I've said it a million times. I think by the letter of the law, Johnny Depp potentially loses because I think it's tough to prove defamation. I think the only way he wins is if he gets the jury to love him and hate Amber, basically, and just make the decision as to who they like better. Lisa, I have to admit, all this back and forth with the timeline and confusion of questions not being organized. JD won if I'm a juror, especially when she takes the stand. I think that could be the case. Heather Farber, what piece of evidence do you think the jury needs to hear to kill the case for JD and to turn the tide? I think they needed to hear him say, yes, technically it is true that she filed that restraining order. Technically, it's true that some of the things I said to her were not nice, because then again, she could feel like a victim based off what he said, and it could have been her opinion. That was, I think, potentially the most damning stuff. And they didn't get to ask it on cross. Snail mail magic. If the same witnesses were called as UK, is this trial worth it? Also, why not criminal case for Amber for abuse? Probably past the statute of limitations, but it's a different defendant. Amber was not the defendant in the UK case. All right, I'm trying to wind down. So let's save the super chats, I guess, for another night. I will get to the ones that are here, though. Shameen Janest, what did you think of JD's lawyer today? It looked like she did not want to be there with the way that she was sifting in her chair and breathing out loud. I was focused more on listening to it and watching the videos. So they probably got bored. You think it's boring for us to listen to it when we're listening to these video depots for the first time. Imagine being there for the video depo, editing it, listening to it a million times, and then having to listen to it again in court. What do you make of Heard's lawyers only showing the printed version of the op-ed? Johnny always said he'd never seen that version. Comes off bad to me. I don't know. Again, that's something that could just be kind of confusing to the jury, and they got to figure out who they believe. Rodney, Peter, is there any footage on YouTube or elsewhere with you at work on a trial case? If so, where? Not on YouTube. It's all CCTV, like in the old courthouses that you can watch if you're in the courthouse. If I ever do have one that is live streamed, you all will be watching, and we'll be live streaming it on my channel. I hope it happens one day. That'll be so fun. Mama Wonderlust, thank you. Sakura Blossoms, it doesn't look good that Musk is not testifying when Elaine mentioned him by name in her opening. Good point. And if the jury remembers, it can be held against Amber Heard. Panama Jack, first-time caller, long-time listener. Love it. Found you through Nick Ricada. Thanks for sharing your know-how and good hair. Hey, the hair's the easy part. Great channel. Just found you subbing. Thank you so much. Quizzing out art. Is jury nullification ever a good thing haunting Hollywood? I only say yes because sometimes the law is antiquated and needs to change, and sometimes that's the way you get the law changed. But generally speaking, no, I don't. I'm not a big fan of jury nullification. Stay strong. So many recordings, almost feels fixed. Lily Cast, how do you feel about her mental diagnosis? I mean, you got to believe the experts, I guess. I am not a mental health expert, so you got to believe that. And I think that it was huge evidence for Johnny Depp. Again, something I would have objected to if I was Amber Heard's lawyer and potentially would have kept out as another call. Maybe I would have made it the judge, that I don't think she should have been able to connect all those facts based on that, because I think she was there to, and this is another unpopular opinion, she was there to determine whether or not PTSD was suffered. And then to get that diagnosis on top and kind of hammer her was tough. I feel for Amber's baby that she's adopted with her crazy temper. Thank you, Dance. Yes, I caught up. All right, we caught up. Whew, I'm sweating. Look at that. All right, that was something tonight. That was a little crazy, if I'm being honest with the chat, but almost 2 hours, almost 10 o'clock here. You guys rock. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get it up. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back Friday. I'll be on some lives tomorrow on Rakita or Legal Bites. Whoever sends me their links and stuff, I'll jump on there. I like talking with both of them. They're awesome. And then I'll be doing my own live on Friday. So make sure you hit that reminder bell because we don't know what time it's going to be posted depending on my work schedule. But we will post it at some point on Friday when we're going live. You all are awesome. Hit the like button on the way out. That's it for me. I'm hot. I got to go put the air down. All right. Florina, you snuck it in. JD has lost his contact with POTC contract with Pirates of the Caribbean due to these allegations. Even his agent testified to that. Absolutely agree with you. All right, dude. Murder and Mysteries just got the sub in before she left. So everybody else, subscribe on your way out as well. See ya.